But this right now is a very important conversation to have. September is Suicide Prevention Month. Is that the right way to say it? Mm-hmm. There is a suicide prevention walk this coming weekend. And here to talk more about it and just the importance of the conversation of mental health and various issues are Dan and Bryn. And good morning to both of you. We appreciate you coming in here.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
This is important. And here's, I was thinking about this morning. I was getting ready to come in here and I'm like, I don't know what the slogan is for like suicide prevention, but I almost feel it needs to be something like it won't kill you to talk about it, but it may kill you if you don't. And that's like a big thing. Like you both have personal experience with, having some kind of issues that have led you to some thoughts. And I don't know how comfortable you are in discussing just how deep you went, but something enabled you to speak at the right time or else neither of you guys would be here right now. So I guess my question is starting. Why do you think it's so difficult just to get the conversation started? And Dan, I'll address that with you.
I think there's still an enormous stigma around it. I'm here involved with this because almost 30 years ago, I lost my father to suicide when I was in college. And for the first 20 years of that, I really just stuffed everything in, held it inside, figured I didn't need help to deal with it. And then I reached a point where probably about a little over a decade ago, I went through my own mental health crisis and I had severe anxiety. It wasn't so much that I was suicidal, but I was convinced I wasn't going to survive that period. My heart would start racing. I'd get sweaty, short of breath. And it ended up just being anxiety. And I needed to go see a mental health professional and get the proper treatment, for that issue.
And how about for you, Bryn?
I was a junior in high school when my friend took his own life. And I found out about the Capital Region Walk for R.I.T.A. in 2009. His family was walking, and I walked alongside them. And the empowerment I felt from everyone that was brought together by something so tragic was so empowering and just such a bittersweet day. So we walked it every year in his honor, and I started volunteering. And I've just started passing along the message that we can save lives and we can bring hope to those who are suffering from suicidal thoughts. And
I think the conversation is the most important thing. As you've gotten closer to his family over the years, do you think that they have any regrets? Do you feel like they wish they started a dialogue, or were they ever uncomfortable with a dialogue, or did he ever say anything that makes them think years later, like, all he should have done was talk? Yeah.
Probably, yes.
See, that's the hardest. That's got to be like the most difficult thing, Chrissy.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Another thing that's very difficult is you don't know what people are going through. And a lot of the people that are suffering mental health issues or are contemplating suicide will not communicate that with you. So I think the hardest part of that is deciphering when is the best time to approach it and how you approach it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the awareness of how to start a conversation or to see some kind of signs that they're withdrawn or whatever is the first step. Like you have to open up your eyes and be aware of your surroundings.
So taking Chrissy's thought, which is a very valid point, what would you tell somebody listening right now that may know somebody and they're afraid to bring it up? What would you tell that person, Dan or Bryn? Go ahead.
Have an honest conversation. Don't be afraid to reach out, because if they're thinking about suicide and you go and speak with them and you say, hey, are you having thoughts of suicide? That person's going to more than likely say yes. It's going to be a burden off their shoulders. If you don't, like you said earlier, the consequences can be deadly.
So like, do you find that most people who are experiencing those thoughts are actually okay with it? They're almost waiting for somebody to ask, Dan?
Yeah, I think everyone is looking for help, so it's important to have that real conversation. Like Brent said, be willing to be blunt and, just ask them flat out, what are you going through? Things aren't right. Talk to me. I'm here.
And you can tell, like, if somebody says no, like, you can read their no. Like, if they say no, everything's fine. Like, usually everything's fine as everything is not okay. And, there's a certain body language that goes along with that.
There was someone that I was looking through their Facebook. I mean, that's an open book pretty much. We can get a lot of emotions from Facebook. And not too long ago, I was looking through it was an acquaintance. I didn't really even know this person. And I saw like a series of things that were going on in their life, like tragic things. They lost a friend. Their boyfriend broke up with them. It was just like a series of within 2 weeks of all this stuff happening, and then posting quotes of dark stuff. So I saw this person and I just went up to him and I said, "Hey, are you okay? Like, are you okay? Because I've seen some things. I know we don't know each other, but are you getting help? Are you talking to someone?" And I was so happy that I did that because I felt like she was waiting for someone to ask her.
What was she accepting?
She was super accepting. She goes, "Yeah, I've been in a pretty dark place lately." I said, I know. And I said, "I'm so sorry if I'm invading on your space, but I'm concerned about you. And I don't really know you that well, but I saw some things and it made me nervous. And I like you and you're a good person and I want you to be okay." And I'm telling you, I think she really appreciated it.
Some people do, like, some people's, their cries for help are really, really obvious, but it's the real subtle cues that are so difficult, and they're the ones after the fact you're like, how did I not know that? Because they were subtle. Wasn't anybody on Facebook posting anything grim, talking about death? In fact, do you know? I don't know if you know the statistic offhand. We're talking to Bryn and Dan. We have the suicide prevention walk this Saturday.
Sunday.
Sunday. That's the 22nd, right?
Yes.
We'll give you all the details. Do you find that most of the people who reach a point where they do take their own lives, have they given subtle hints, or have most of them given big hints that we just missed?
I mean, it's always tough to say, and it's always hard to look back at that. Most people do leave some kind of message or have some kind of sign or some kind of change in behavior. That's one of the difficult things that surviving a suicide loss does to you. It leaves you with a lot of questions.
Yeah.
And for me, the biggest thing was to move forward with that, because tomorrow's never going to be yesterday, no matter what I do. But to look for the folks, like you said, the folks who are still with us today, and look for those signs and be willing to have that awkward conversation. And I'd rather be the person who asks you a serious question and be wrong.
Right.
Be the person who makes
That's
light
the best
of it,
case scenario.
and then have things go terribly
Right,
wrong.
absolutely.
It's a great
I'm
point.
sorry I made you uncomfortable. It's because I care.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, and then it's over, know,
Right.
and then like that moment is over, and I think that person will have a chance to reflect. But the other side of that is, thank you, Dan, or thank you, Bryn, or thank you, Brian and Chrissy, for having this conversation, because you may have you saved somebody.
Yeah, it's
Bryn, what are you
true.
thinking right now? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm thinking, I think you said it perfectly. And also, if you're wrong, that person knows that you are there as a resource in the future.
Yeah, you still care.
Exactly.
You're making that taking that time for that conversation, even if you are wrong. I'd rather be wrong.
Right,
Exactly.
and maybe that
I'd rather
person
be
knows
wrong.
someone who is really struggling. Now, because you reach out to them, they'll reach out to you for that friend.
That's a good
I
point.
always just feel like, I know that this applies in like airports and the train. If you see something, say something, but that's like everything.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I've reached a point in my life at 46, like, I don't care. Like, if I really believe something to be true, like, I'm going to trust my instincts. If you think about that right now while you're in your car, you're at work or something, if you're struggling, if you know somebody who's struggling and your instincts are telling you so-and-so's going through something, maybe they're about to go off the deep end, 60-second awkward conversation
Yep.
could actually save somebody's life.
I'll tell you, I reached out to somebody too, that person, because we have been talking about the walk, and it triggered something in me to say something.
And
go ahead, Brittany.
you have to assume you're the only one who will reach out.
Ah, that's good. Yes.
Well,
You don't want to wait for the next guy.
Right. You can't just wait for someone else to step up. If you think something's wrong with someone, you really owe it to them and to yourself.
Guys, I think this is super
This is so
helpful,
good.
and it's so important, and we appreciate you both coming in here and giving us some insight, sharing some personal stories, and we will see both of you at the walk on Sunday. Chris, if you want to break down just the quick nuts and bolts.
Yep, it's at Saratoga State Park, and it's the Walk to Fight Suicide and raise awareness about mental health, which is so important. You can register today by going to afsp.org/Capital Region NY. There's also resources there, too, if you need help approaching someone, or if you yourself needs help. You can go right to that website, and you can also register for the walk.
Also, real quick, too, if you want to text the crisis line, you can text the word TALK, TALK, probably the quickest thing, easiest thing you could do right now, to 741-741. Again, you could text TALK, TALK, to 741-741. Thanks to both of
You
you.
guys,
We
thanks for
appreciate
coming
it.
in
Thank
today.
you.